Hi, good, you're right on time. Tonight's job is a small one, the kind that barely deserves the word job at all. Except that it has a crew and a plan and a quiet satisfaction at the end of it. So we'll call it anyway. Mrs. Hensley, three doors down from the old well pump, turns a year older tomorrow. Her pie shelf, the little one above the stove, where she keeps whatever left over for baking for everyone else, has been bare since Tuesday. Nobody mentioned it to her. Nobody needs to. Some things just get handled quietly by people who noticed before she did. So that's it. That's the whole job. Bake her a pie. The kind she likes best and have it cooling on her shelf before she opens her eyes tomorrow morning. No locks to find, no one to avoid, nothing to outrun. Just butter and flour and a little patience. A crew that has done this kind of thing enough times to do it well. You don't need to do anything right. You don't need to remember the plan, or keep track of who's where, or worry about whether it comes together. Everyone on tonight's crew already knows their part. You're just here while it happens. Which is, if you think about it, the easiest job anyone ever given you. Stay as long as you like. Drift off whenever you are ready. The pie gets made either way. Bramble's already in the kitchen. She is the Becker mouse, small enough to fit in your palm, and she has flour on her paws before she even decided to start. That's just how it goes with her, hands moving before thought catches up. The way someone hums a tune they did not choose to hum. That's never burned a single thing in her life. Not once, not the early days, not the big jobs. Not even the time the oven ran hot for a week and nobody noticed but her. She just adjusts the way water adjusts to the shape of whatever holding it. Tonight she is wearing her second best apron. The first best one's drying on the line, and she's already humming something low and easy. The kind of tune that does not have words, because it never needed anyway. Sable on the windowsill. She's an owl, and she has made a sound landing there. Not one. You would think the glass would at least creak. But no, just a soft settle of feathers and then a stillness. Like she would always been sitting in that exact spot. She's not watching for anything in particular. There's no one to watch for. She just likes how the moon sits on the snow this time of the year. The way it pools blue-white across Mrs. Hensley's yard and the path beyond it. And since someone's got it to be the lookout, it might be as well be her. And might be as well be enjoyable. That's the whole of her job tonight. Enjoy the view and let everyone else know, without a word, that the night outside is exactly as quiet as it looks. Pip's sitting up by the counter, a small midnight robot, brass cornered and careful, the kind of careful that comes from getting things right so many times it's stopped feeling like effort. Pip remembers every recipe exactly, not the gist of it, not the rough idea, but the precise measurements, down to the half spoon, filled away in some neat internal drawer that never gets disorganized. Tonight Pip's already laid out 6 small bowls in a row, each one labeled in tiny handwriting that nobody asked for, but everyone appreciates. That's something steady about watching Pip work. Nothing gets gazed at, nothing gets eyeballed. It's all measured and measured correctly every time. Untucked by the door, is still getting used to the size of everyone else's kitchen, is Juniper, a young rabbit, newest to the crew, here mostly to watch tonight and help where she needed. She's not nervous, exactly, just new. There's a difference, and Bramble's already explained it to her once tonight, gently, the way you would explain something you remember not knowing yourself. Juniper's job is small and clear. Carry things when asked, watch when she isn't, and learn the shape of how kitchen likes this moves. Nobody is in a hurry for her to know everything yet. She's never alone in what knowing it. That's tonight crew. Four sets of hands. Well, three sets of hands and one set of wings that mostly just rest on a windowsill. And no one of them has any doubt about how tonight goes. The plan, if you can even call it that, is barely worth the name. It's closer to a recipe than anything else. Written out once, a long time ago, in handwritings that soften at the age from being read so many times. First, measure the dry things flour, sugar, the good cinnamon from the tin with the dental lid. Pip handles this part because Pip's measurements never drift, not by a pinch, not after 100 pies or 1,000. Second, cut the butter in, cold the way it has to be, not stirred, not melted, just folded through with cook. Light hands until it looks like little pebble caught in snow. That's Bramble's part. Always has been. Her paws know the right texture before her eyes confirm it. Third, roll the dough. Rest the dough. Roll it again. There's a waiting built into this step, and that's fine. Waiting's not a problem here. It's just part of the shape of the work. Juniper gets to help with this one, dusting the counter with flour so the dough does not stick, which is a small task and exactly the right size for someone is still learning where things are kept. Fourth, the filling apples, mostly the late season kind that have gone sweet and soft in Hensley's own cellar, picked earlier this evening with her permission, though she does not know it yet, because permission like this that does not need asking when this kind of a gift. Fifth, assemble it, seal the edges, cut the steam vent on top, always a leaf shape, because that's what Mrs. Hensley taught Bramble to do years ago, back before Bramble was one doing the teaching. Sixth, back low and slow. The kitchen filling with the smell that means something good is happening and will keep happening for a while yet. Seventh, cool it to the windowsill. The same windowsill Sable's already climbed for the view. And then the last and simplest step. Carry it gently the short way down the pot to Mrs. Hensley's shelf and set it where she will find when she's awake. That's the whole of it. 7 steps. Nothing is skipped, nothing rushed, nothing left to guess it. Every part of it has already been done before, by this same crew, more times than everyone bothered to count. There's nothing in this plan that requires luck. It just requires doing it the way it has always been done, which is the easy part when you have done it enough times. You don't need to follow any of these steps yourself. You can let all 7 of them go right now if you want. Hand them over to Bramble and Pip and Juniper and just listen to what it sounds like when it happens. Pip starts first because Pip always starts first. The flour goes into the bowl in one long, even pour. No spillage, no second guessing. Just the soft hiss of it settling and then the small lick of measuring cup being set down exactly where it was picked up. Sugar next, then the cinnamon. The tin's dented lid creaking open and shut with a sound like a small door somewhere far away. Pip stirs the dry things together slowly in wide, patient circles, and there's nothing left to measure now. That part's done, nothing left to weigh. Bramble takes over from here. Butter in cold cubes straight from the cold Cinderville ledge where it's been waiting. She works it into the flour with quick fingers, pressing and turning until the mixture goes crumbly and pale, like sand right at the edge of the tide. While she does not rush this, there's no version of this step that goes faster and it still comes out right. So she simply lets it take exactly as long as it takes. Not because the clock matters, but because the texture does. Folded in, settled. That part of the work is finished now, and nothing more is needed of it. Outside, the snow keeps doing what snow does, which is mostly nothing, just resetting the yard and catching what light there is. Sable shifts once on the cinder wheel, resettles and goes it still again. Nothing out there needs watching for. Just like the view, and the view tonight is exactly as calm as it was an hour ago, and will likely stay that way for an hour more. The dough comes together under Bramble's hand, water added a spoonful at a time, just enough, never too much, and then it rests, wrapped in a clean cloth on the cool corner of the counter. That's kind of a step where nothing visible happens for a while, and that's fine. Some parts of a good pie are mostly waiting. The dough does not need anyone hovering over it. It just needs time, and the time is something nobody here is short on tonight. Juniper finds her moment while the dough rests, dustling floors across the counter in a light, even layer the way Bramble showed her earlier, patting it down with the floor flat of her paw until it's just enough, not too much. She gets a little in her nose. Nobody mentions it because it does not need mentioning. It's just what happens some nights when you are new to a kitchen and trying to get something exactly right. She watches Bramble roll the dough out once it's rested. Slow, even strokes of the pen, turning the dough a quarter turn between each pause, the circle widening steadily, evenly, and way it's supposed to. Juniper notices that Bramble does not check it for size more than once. She does not need to. Her hands already know when it's right. The rolling pin goes still. The dough's the right size now. Nothing left to roll. Somewhere in the cellar, the short trip Pip made earlier, quite metal feet on stone steps. No crack, no clatter. The apples were already gathered. They sit now in a wide bowl in the counter. Late season apples, soft enough to give gently under a thumb. The kind that have spent all autumn turning sweeter in the dark and cool. Bramble peels them in a long, unhurried ribbons, the peel curling off in one continuous piece more often than not, because her hands have done this exactly motion enough times that the apple barely resists. She slices them thin and even into a small bowl, and over them goes a careful scatter of sugar and good cinnamon, and a little of something else from a small jar that nobody ever asked the name of, because it's always just been the same something else. And it's always made the pie taste like Mrs. Hensley's kitchen, specifically, and not even anyone else. That part's mixed now, sitting, soaking its own sweetness, nothing more to stir. This is usually about where the night starts to slow. Not because anything's gone wrong, only because there's no reason left to hurry, and the kitchen seems to know it. The lamp above the stove glows a little warmer than it did an hour ago. Or maybe it's just that everyone's eyes have adjusted to it, the way eyes do, slowly, without announcing the change. Bramble lines the pie dish, an old one, the same one used for every pie Mrs. Hensley's ever been given by this crew. Its edge a little worn from years of careful hands, and presses the bottom crust in gently, working from the center outward, something it against the curve of the dish until There's no air caught beneath it. The apples go in next, spoon carefully. Mountain just slightly higher in the center, the way a good pie always is. A little juice from the bowl going in with them because that juice is most of the flavor and it would be a waste of leave it behind. The top crust comes over the whole of it like a blanket being settled into place. And that's almost exactly what it is. If you think about it that way, Bramble trims the extra dough from the edges with slow, careful turns of the dish. The crimps the powder between two fingers, pressing a little, pattern it the way she always does. The same pattern every time because some things don't need to change just because they would. And then last, the steam vents, the small knife, a few careful cuts shaped like leaves because that's what Mrs. Hensley's taught her years and years ago, back when it was Bramble standing where Juniper's standing now, watching someone else's hand do exactly this. The crust is sealed now, nothing left to close. Pip opens the oven, checks the heat with a glance. That's something more reliable than any dial, and steps back to let Bramble slide the pie in. Slow and even. No jostling, no rush. The door closes with a soft, settled click, and that's it. That part of the work is handed over now to heat and time. The two things in this whole job that need absolutely nothing from anyone. The crew does not hover around the oven. There's nothing to watch for in there that watching would improve. So they wait. Sable is still on the windowsill, watching snow that isn't doing anything new. Pip rinsing the bowls in the quiet dark of the sink. The water running soft and warm, each bowl set in the rack in the exactly order it was used. Juniper curled now in the corner chair, more tired than she expected to be from an evening of mostly watching. Her eyes heavier than they were an hour ago. The kitchen's warmth doing what warm kitchen do to anyone, mouse or rabbit or otherwise. Bramble wipes out the counter. Bramble wipes down the counter. Slow circles, the floor disappearing into a damp cloth. The wood underneath going dark and clean. There's a smell starting now, low and warm, drifting out from the open door seams. Apples and cinnamon and the particular sugar and butter smell that means something is becoming slowly exactly what it's meant to become. Nobody checks on it. Nobody needs to. It's doing the only thing it can do in there, which is finish. The minutes stretch the way minutes do, late at night, in a warm room, when nothing more is being asked of them than to simply pause. Sable's eyes close, just for a moment, then open again, slow as the moon's down movement across the yard outside. Juniper's already asleep in the counter chair, her ears tucked down, one paw still faintly dusted white. When Pip finally opens the oven, and it's Pip who always knows exactly when, by some quite innocent certainty that does not need a timer to confirm it. The pie comes out gold brown, the crust risen just enough, the little leaf-shaped vents letting out the last curl of steam into the cool kitchen air. It's done. There's nothing left to break. Bramble set it on the windowsill to cool, right beside where Sable's is still parked. And for a long while, that's the whole of what happens, a pie cooling in the moonlight, with an owl outside it who isn't watching for anything at all, with something good that's finally quite finished. There's nothing left to do now but the easiest step of all. When the pie is cool enough to carry, Bramble wraps it in a clean cloth, the same one that held on the dough earlier. The pip carries it to the short way down the path, careful even steps over the snow. No hurry in any of them, because there's no reason left for hurry. Mrs. Hensley's shelf is empty, waiting just like Assos said it would be. The pie goes with the pie goes there, settled into place, and that's the job. That's the whole job finished. The way it always finishes, quietly, with no one watching except the people who did it. Sable flies home without a sound, the way she does everything. Juniper's carried back, half asleep, tucked against a Bramble's shoulder, already dreaming about whatever rabbits dream about after their first job. Juniper's carried back, half asleep, tucked against Bramble's shoulder, already dreaming about whatever rabbits dream about after their first real job. Pip wipes the last counter clean and dims the kitchen lamp, just slightly, just enough. Mrs. Hensley will wake up tomorrow to a pie she did not ask for and did not expect, on a shelf that's been bare since Tuesday, and she'll never quite know how it got there. She won't need to. Something just get handled by people who noticed before she did. You don't need to remember any of this. You don't need to hold on these steps or the names or the smell of cinnamon drifting out someone else's oven. The job's done. It was always going to be done. That's the whole point of crew like this. Nothing left to carry, nothing left to finish, nothing left for you to do but rest. Now, the same way the kitchen is resting, the same way the pie is resting on its shelf, cooling into morning. Good night.